There are so many exciting brand new detachments and brand new ways to play old detachments that I figured I just gotta do one video where I'm gonna talk about a lot of the new lists that I'm building and that I'm playing around with and that I'm running with. Now, this doesn't mean I'm not running Dark Angels anymore. Like I just won a GT with them this past weekend. They're awesome, but there are so many really amazing things out there to build that I personally feel people are sleeping on too much. So what I did is I built 4 armies for you. I'm sharing you my thought processes on why I built these. I want to leave it with the caveat that none of these armies are 100% complete yet. And I also want to leave it with another caveat that whenever you build an army, you should always build that army for the tournament that you're taking it to. Because each tournament is going to have its own mission pack. You're going to have your own terrain. You're going to have your own layouts, your own missions that you're playing on. And some armies don't operate on certain missions and terrain layouts. And that's just the fundamental truth. So we build our army for the tournament that we're actually going to. So, for example, I'm going to present to you a army for my Custodes that might work incredibly well for GW8 and GW2. But if the entire player packet is on GW4, it's going to be really bad. So I would never bring this army to that particular tournament. So just keep that in mind as you're taking a look at some of these lists I'm presenting you with. Some of these things are absolutely brutal and they're amazing, but they're also designed for certain missions and stuff in play. And maybe I'll try to talk about that a little bit as I detail you. So we're talking about the Custodes, we're talking about the Chaos Space Breeds, we're talking about the Blood Angels, and the Iron Hands. Actually, is where are the lists that I want to go through. I've got other armies I'm thinking about. Like I've got a Court of the Phoenician list for Emperor's Children, which maybe if I have a little extra time, I'll go through and I can do some live building with you guys here, but that might be for a stream later. But for right now, I'm going to go for these 4 armies, and we're just going to break it down how you can have a blast with these armies while absolutely smashing your opponents. So use this as inspiration and make sure that you change it slightly based off of the mission pack for the tournament that you are preparing for. So army number 1, I'm going for is the Adeptus Custodes. Now, my big problem with the Adeptus Custodes this edition is their army has just felt boring. And it hasn't really changed in the new data slate, but we have so many more points that now we can get that extra unit in previously that I didn't think that we were going to be able to get in, which makes me think that even though it's still a little boring, the army is actually really exciting. And don't worry, this is not a Warden spam army. It operates in a different fashion, and I think it operates in a very, very good fashion. So we are going to take it as Shield Host. That's the number 1. And actually, let me just get a list view here so that I can just kind of show you guys this a little bit more easily. So it is going to be Shield Host. The reason why it's Shield Host is that in the current meta, having access to +1 AP on demand is so brutally efficient, especially when you're going into things like Victrix Guard, which, while I don't think Victrix are particularly busted, I might be the only YouTuber out there who doesn't, I do think that you need to plan accordingly for them because they are fairly defining the meta right now. So you do need to be prepared for a 2-up armor save with Armor of Contempt. But this isn't just Victrix Honor Guard. This is also your basic Terminators. This is also going to be Deathwing Knights. This is also going to be, there's a variety of units in the game that have access to some form of Armor of Contempt and a 2-up armor save, and you need to be prepared for those things. So we're running Shield Host. Shield Host is going to give you the option of either getting crits on 5s in melee or giving your army +1 AP in the melee phase, which is great. In the fight phase, melee phase, whatever. Anyway, so we're going to run Trajan Valorous. Now, in this build, I'm going to take Trajan Valorous solo because in Shield Host, he's AP2, flat 3 damage, strength 10. I can give him crits on 5s. I can double his attacks once per game, which can go for 12 attacks with sustained hits on 5s. A strength 10, AP2, damage 3. Ooh, that is spicy. You're basically just going to wipe any 3-wound unit in the game. Like he can just kind of run on in and he can slap down a 10-man squad of Possessed if you're playing against something like, Creations of Bile. He can run in and he can just slap an entire squad of Sanguinary Guard by himself. There's just so many times where having the access to that flat 3 damage is still extremely, extremely valuable in this game. That Trajan Valorous is a total nightmare for people, and he does have the Deep Strike keyword, which means you can rapid ingress him. He's got like 7 or 8, I always forget, is it 7 or 8 wounds? I can just check it right here. 7 or 8 wounds, and he's got that 5-up Feel No Pain. Yeah, he's got 7 wounds, T6 with a 5-up Feel No Pain. The guy is a total Chad Stody, and I think he deserves to be included in a lot of things. So Trajan is going to run solo here. Then I'm going to take 1 Blade Champ, and I'm going to take 1 Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike. The reason for this is that Dawn Eagle jet bikes just have a lot of interesting play in the game that they previously didn't have, and I could never really figure out how to fit them in an army because there's just so many darn points. But with the recent points drops to Custodian Guard and the recent drops to your Alaris Terminators, I think I was able to fit them. So I'm going to take a single Bite Captain, and he's going to lead 2 Virtus Printers, and having the ability to charge in and then do a normal fallback move in your turn, or controversially, have them get charged, survive, and then do a fallback, and then charge in your next turn is so powerful. Because remember, at the end of the fight phase, once per game, the captain will allow them to either do a fallback or a normal move. It is so darn powerful. I absolutely adore it, and I love it. So he's going to run with 2 of these guys, and with 5 wounds each, it really skews the math. You'd be really surprised that when you run the math on it, Victrix Honor Guard are really quite bad into these guys because they're winning on 5s. Unless you are, of course, the Oath of Moment target, in which case they would be winning on 4s. And I'm kind of judging based off of that profile, that Strength 5 with +1 to wound, how durable you are right now, because that is the meta that we're kind of in, so I want to make sure I'm prepared for that. So Virtus Praetors are fast. They get you, with Hurricane Bolters, quite good shaft clearing, which is pretty reasonable. And they hit like a freaking truck when they charge with that Strength 7 +1 to wound because of the Lance. Oh, sorry. Let me pull this back up again. Then I have one, like I said, we have the Blade Champ. We got 2 squads of Custodian Guard. I am going to run 4 of them with spears and 1 with the Sentinel Blade. I'm sorry, not with the blade. I'm actually going to have them with a Vexilla, but with a shield. The Vexilla is going to give them +1 to their OC, taking them to that critical OC 3. And it gives them 1 model in their unit that has 4 wounds instead of 3 units. This is going to help with some of the flat 3 damage shooting in the meta, which totally does exist right now. Chaos Demons, I'm looking at you. Chaos Demons, I'm looking at you. Those chickens with flat 3 damage is terrifying, not to mention Forge Fiends for Chaos Space Marines just get a little bit cheaper. So I do feel like if you can take the shield to give yourself a little bit of a break from that flat 3 damage, that's a really big deal. So I'm going to take 2 of those squads. 1 will have the Blade Champion, because the Blade Champion with a squad of Custodian Guard running in, that thing is going to pick up like a lot. I think they kill like 7 or 8 Victrix Guard, which is kind of a big deal. And then I have 1 massive brick of the Alaris Custodians. The reason why I like the 1 massive brick is this 5-man squad, which is now really only 275, which is very freaking doable. As a matter of fact, I'm considering running an 18 Alaris list. I'll get back to you on that one. But this 5-brand brick of Alaris Custodians, with their potential turn 1 deep strike, because they can up E down E at the end of your opponent's fight phase if you go second, they actually can just cause horrible traumatic experiences for your opponent if they're not paying attention. Flexing to either the +1 AP in melee or the crits on 5s with full rerolls to wound against every single monster, vehicle, or character in the entire game. Not to mention that flat 4 damage really breaks up a lot of the new flat 3 damage that's coming into the game right now. Because once again, your Forge Fiends got cheaper. Your freaking, what do you call it? Your big chickens in Chaos Demons went to flat 3, which I think Chaos Demons are one of the armies really to look out for. I'm not going to do a tier list until I've had time to like practice it a little bit more. But man, Chaos Demons are looking really scary. Then I've got 2 2-mans of Alaris at 110 points. These guys are freaking awesome. I think people really tend to discount just how hard-hitting a 2-man Alaris squad is. So I'm taking those guys. I've got 1 squad of Prosecutors, 1 squad of Witch Seekers, because you need a little bit of chaff. I have a squad of Venatori Custodians. People sleep on Venatori, and I'm not quite sure why. Their ability to rapid ingress, even though you've already rapid ingress someone else in your army, is just so powerful. So actually, your 3-man squad here, hits like a freaking freight train. They get crits on 5s, +1 to wound on the charge. They always have access to fallback, shoot and charge. Not to mention, everything else in your army in this detachment can always fall back, shoot and charge, which is really powerful. I love having that access to those Venatori, and I think it's a huge benefit. And then I've got 1 Caladius Gravity Tank, because I don't believe you need 2. I know a lot of people think you need 2, but I've been really exploring this idea of having 1 anti-tank option. Not because it's the most effective, gun line, but because all you really need as a melee pressure army is to decrease your opponent's ability to sit in a firing lane. You don't have to control firing lanes. You don't have to control the shooting phase. But if you have 1 really good anti-tank unit, like a Caladius Gravity Tank or like a Gladiator Lancer, your opponent still can't put their battle tanks out in the open. They still can't put their transports out in the open without fearing you. So I found that is enough for me as a melee pressure player to be able to control the board. for you. Maybe you need 2, just depending on the way you play, but I found that it's enough. And then lastly, the Calidus, because I think the Calidus is almost a must-have in today's meta. Some of the stratagems that different armies have access to are so bonkers, you really need to be able to control your opponent's CP. So this is going to be the Custodians list. I love it. I think it's really strong. It's 2,000 points on the dot, and I hope you enjoy playing it as well. All right, so let's look at the next list that I want to talk about here. I'm going to talk about the Night Hunt. So I titled it Night Hunts here, but Night Hunts. This is the new Chaos Space Marines detachment. And a lot of people are really kind of crapping on this detachment, and I don't agree with people. Now, there's probably easier ways to build to get something similar to this, but let me just show you what I've been cooking up. I'm going to give you my thoughts behind it. I'm going to be running it in some TTS games here, and I'll see if I can convince any of you, sway any of you to join me on this one. Like I said, I don't think this is going to define the meta, but man, is this army going to be able to cause a bunch of problems for some people. So, first things first is we're going to take the Chaos Lord with Jump Pack, and we're going to give him the Sorrow Scent Vulture enhancement. What this is going to do is it's going to give your 10 Warp Talons Scout 6, and it's going to allow him to attach the Warp Talons. So on your turn 1, you're practically guaranteed to go 18 inches, and don't forget, this detachment has access to Advance in Charge. Now, you can either spend a CP for the Advance in Charge, or you can use the Chaos Lord with Jump Pack's native ability to Advance in Charge. So your Warp Talons are minimum going to move 19 inches turn 1, or maximally going to move 24 inches turn 1 and still charge. A 10-man squad of Warp Talons with a Chaos Lord will pick up basically any chaff in the game. There are some targets that you don't want to charge. Like, you probably wouldn't want to charge, I don't know, certain, like, 2-up invulnerable save models with it. Like, some elite infantry you would probably want to stay away from. But a lot of times, all you got to do is get rid of trash. Like, you don't actually have to kill their super hard-hitting units with this expensive unit. Because what happens if you just go in and you murder trash? Let's say he's playing, I'm playing against my Dark Angels list with this unit. I can move on up. I can charge this. I can kill a scout squad turn 1. I go back in reserves, because that's what the Warp Talons allow you to do. If you killed a unit, then you're able to go back in reserves in your own turn, which means in my opponent's turn 1, I can then rapid ingress this unit down to go kill another piece of trash. Now that I've killed 2 pieces of trash, before battle round 2 starts, my opponent's in a lot of trouble. How are they going to be screening for the rest of the game? How are they going to be getting actions done for the rest of the game? How are they going to be holding objectives? Well, they're going to have to use their relevant stuff, and that is a big, big problem. By the time I have killed all of their trash with really out any cost to me, now I'm ready to hit their relevant units with all of my stuff all at once. And Night Hunt allows you to really start to focus fire, guys, because what this list has is it's got a bunch of redundant Battleshock mechanics in it. So, 2 Cultist Firebrands. These guys can come in from reserves. Every time they shoot, they force a Battleshock test on a enemy model or on enemy infantry unit. So in today's meta, where we're really worried about our elite infantry, that's very, very powerful. So force a Battleshock test. The second you fail a Battleshock test, the rest of my army becomes +1 to wound, and you become -1 to hit me, and I'm also +1 to hit. And that is a very, very powerful thing. I'm going to have 1 Sorcerer and Terminator armor with the Terror Glut Parasite. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So 3 squads of Cultist mobs, just because I love having trash. I love trash, just like every other player who plays Warhammer loves trash, and they don't realize how much they love trash, but they love it. Now, the Sorcerer and Terminator armor is going to run with the Chaos Terminator squad. This is going to be a rapid ingress or a deep strike squad. The Sorcerer and Terminator armor actually does quite a few things for this unit. He's going to give them access to reroll advances and reroll charges natively, which is good. He also gives them access to the almighty Death Hex. That Death Hex is a really, really big deal because it takes them to that sweet, sweet AP3. And in a meta where we have to figure out how the heck do we kill 2-up armor saves with access to Armor Contempt, that AP3 in melee is such a massive deal. Now, the Chaos Terminators, I know a lot of people don't like them, but their native rule is just get full rerolls to hit. In what world is that a bad unit? It's not a bad unit. Everyone who says it's a bad unit is freaking wrong. So I'm going to give them all. I'm going to give all of them combi weapons. Except for the 2, I think I will keep the 2 with Reaper autocannons. Because with the Death Hex, I can get AP on those things. They have sustained hits natively, blah, 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 blah. So I do think I'm going to put combi weapons on this squad, which will give me 16 shots out of reserves with full rerolls to hit, and I'm going to give them sustained hits 1 because of my Dark Pack. That should be able to kill approximately 2 Victrix just in the shooting phase. And then I really don't care if they want to blood surge closer to me because, I'm going to be trying to charge them anyway. And if it's not Victrix, if it's elite infantry, you are going to end up killing 3 elite infantry with your, anti-infantry 4-up. Against Custodes, it's going to be very, very valuable. This is a interestingly powerful unit that can do quite a bit. And since they're going to be deep striking down, I can pretty much always stack it with the stratagem that I want to spend 1 CP on to force a battle shock at -1 at whatever I am looking at. So I like this squad a lot. I'm going to have 5 Nemesis Claw. They're going to be inside one of the Rhinos with some of the Noise Marines. Nemesis Claw are just awesome, being able to turn off stratagems. Oh my goodness. The 2 Noise Marines, one of the reasons why I really like these Noise Marines is that these Noise Marines, whenever they shoot until the start of my next shooting phase, that enemy unit is now going to be at -1 to all battle shock leadership tests. Now, this will stack with the Sorcerer and Terminator armor who is leading the Terminator squad. His Terror Parasite forces enemies to take a battle shock test at -1 when they're in engagement range with him at the start of the fight phase. Stack that with the other 2 Raptor squads, which are also forcing this battle shock at -2, or at -1. The Noise Marines make those battle shocks go to -2, and that is a very, very powerful ability, which really can screw your opponent up. 1 Chaos Vindicator for good measure. Double Rhinos, this army is good to go. Now remember, the Noise Marines cannot make use of Dark Packs, but when they are inside the Rhinos using Firing Deck 2 to shoot, 6 Blastmaster shots, you can give Firing Deck to the Rhino itself. So, very, very interesting army. I want to playtest it quite a bit. There is a lot of units here that hit so much harder than you might expect. And you've got access to fallback, shoot, and charge, advance and charge. You've got access to reroll hit rolls if your opponents get battle shocked. You've got access to bonus AP if your opponents get battle shocked. There's a lot of things in there that I think you might find appealing. Now let's look at one of my first iterations of the current Rage Cursed Onslaught. Now Rage Cursed Onslaught, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is the new Blood Angels detachment. I think it is probably just straight up worse than Liberated Assault Group or Angelic Inheritors. That does not mean I think it's bad. I actually think it's quite good, and I'm actually very interested in it. So let me be very, very clear on my thoughts there. I actually find it to be a very, very, very interesting detachment. Here, let me make sure I've got this screen here so you guys can see everything. So this is what I'm initially looking at here. Now, this detachment is the one that gives you +1 attack, charge, or +2 attacks if you're battle shocked. So I've got a few combinations here I kind of want to walk you through. First off, Chief Librarian Mephiston and the Sanguinor just become even better in this detachment. They're still low up, they're still amazing, they're still 2-up armor saves, they both still have fights first. The Sanguinor still does his super amazing heroic intervention thing from off the board, but now they also reroll wound rolls of 1, which is just freaking good. That's a big deal. Now, of course, it's only in melee, but rerolling wound rolls of 1 is pretty stupendous. Pardon me, I'm going to have to take a sip of delicious chocolate milk. And if you judge me for drinking chocolate milk, you're the problem. Ah, glorious. Okay, now, so those two characters, lone ups, just glorious, amazing utility. Love them. Then I'm going to run Lamartes in this detachment. He is going to be with 10 Death Company Marines with jump packs. This is a unit I traditionally kind of hate, but in this detachment, I think I like it quite a bit because you have no access to lethal or really +1 to wound in this detachment. So you're going to have a way to get through that super, super high toughness stuff, and I can still give these guys +1 AP. So with all the Power Fists, with all the Eviscerators, with the full rerolls to hit natively, now they also have lethals, and I give them AP +1, so AP3 Power Fists, AP3 Eviscerators and stuff. I think I like this squad. Not to mention, even though Lamartes does give -1 damage to the unit, it does make the unit slightly more durable than your normal Marines. They're still pretty squishy. However, in this detachment, I can give them the 5-up Field of Pain, which is very, very interesting. That 5-up Field of Pain does make them actually durable. So a 5-up Field of Pain with -1 damage suddenly is a lot more durable than a 6-up Field of Pain with -1 damage. So I think it creates a very interesting unit that is going to require a lot more of the enemy's army to actually deal with than they really want to deal with. In addition to this, I am taking 6 Blade Guard vets, and they are going to be running with a Chaplain who has Master of the Red Thirst, which is a fight first enhancement. This unit is every bit as good in this detachment as it is in Liberated Assault Group, although honestly, I think it might be even better. Because this detachment, I can charge, give them +2 attacks, so it's going to be 36 attacks coming out of the squad. They're going to go up to Strength 6, and AP3 because I'm going to use that stratagem on them, so which is I think is better than Strength 7 and AP2 in Liberated Assault Group. And they're still +1 to wound from the chaplain, and now they're rerolling wound rolls of 1 and rerolling hit rolls of 1 from their native abilities. So this unit hits actually significantly harder in Rage Cursed Onslaught than it did in Liberator Assault Group. So I love it. Having fight first on a squad of Blade Guard vets is still just silly good. And yeah, I just like this unit. It's very powerful, very, very strong. It's the same cost as is in Liberator Assault Group. It just hits even harder. So bonkers, amazing. We've got one squad of Incursors. They're going to be here because having access to Scout is really, really good. And interestingly enough, since they have sustained hits natively, in Rage Cursed Onslaught, giving them +2 attacks each, suddenly they start hitting really, really, really hard, especially fishing for sustained hits. If you give them Oath of Moment, they go to AP2. These guys actually hit really, really hard for 80 points in Rage Cursed Onslaught. And I got to be honest with you guys, I'm here for it. Beyond that, I've got one squad of Infiltrators because I think Infiltrators are great. Oh, sorry, pardon me, I missed one spot. The Incursors are also starting in the Impulsor to give the Impulsor that ever so important 6-inch scout move. The reason why I love this is that 6-inch scout move will allow the Impulsor to deploy in areas where typically it couldn't deploy safely. But since you have a 6-inch scout move to either move forward or backwards with into cover, it means that you can deploy very, very aggressively with it. Where your opponent typically would be able to shoot you off the board, but they can't because you're just going to scout to safety anyway. This means that this Incursor squad, they can make the Impulsor scout forward 6 inches, then in the movement phase, disembark 3 inches, so effectively before the game has even really started, they've already moved 9 inches. Then they get to move 6 inches, so they go up to 15 inches, and then if you want to, you can also give them advance to charge in this detachment, which is, well, it's kind of awesome. So they can go very, very fast, and they can hit very, very hard because you can obviously battle shock them to give them the bonus attacks using your strats. You can use both parts of a stratagem to battle shock them, so then they get +2 attacks on the charge. 25 attacks coming out of this squad with sustained hits and a Haywire Mine is no freaking joke. And then not to mention, because of the way things are ordered, you could also potentially even give them +1 AP. So these guys hit like a freight train for their points cost. One squad of Infiltrators because I think we need Infiltrators. 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard. I am going to be running a 3-man with Spears. And this is the squad I send out to give them the +1 AP and then let them die. And then I have a 6-man squad with Swords because having native access to AP3 and not having to always use your stratagem to get your bonus AP is very good. Now, what you'll notice is I also have a Captain with Jump Pack who has the Angel's Fang. This is the thing that's going to give you sustained hits too against characters, monsters, and vehicles. Depending on what army I'm playing against, that captain will either lead the 6-man with Swords or the 3-man with Spears. It really just depends where I need to send my Oath of Moment target into. A lot of times, he'll probably end up leading the Spears because I'm going to be using his stratagem to give myself the battle shock. And that Thunderhammer with sustained hits too is a no-joke thing, especially since he's going to give the unit +1 strength on the charge. I can use a CP to give myself +1 strength and +1 AP to battle shock myself. So now I'm sustained hits too with a strength 10 Thunderhammer that goes to AP3 that gets to reroll wound rolls of 1. It becomes a lot. Not to mention all the Sanguinary Guard benefits in addition to that. One scout squad. Once again, a scout squad. Turn 1 with a scout move and a charge. This scout squad can go to, 21 typically, so +5, so 26 attacks at strength 5, AP2, damage 1, turn 1. This is a no-joke unit that can absolutely clear not just chaff, but relevant units and can cause massive upsets for your opponents. I've got 2 Ball Predators because I am King Ball Predator. I love my red hot fiery balls. These things save every single game for me. I think they're amazing. They're especially amazing in this detachment because they are a Blood Angel specific unit, meaning that when you shoot them and they die, I can just sticky the objective. Then lastly, we've got the Callous Assassin because, as I said, I think she's just basically amazing and needs to be in the list right now. So that's my current Rage Cursed Onslaught. I think I like it. I'm sure there's some things I'm going to change on it. I actually am not sold on the Lamarte's unit. I'm basically sold on everything else. I might just be happier with a 5-man of Death Company with Jump Packs and a normal Death Company captain. Or I might be happier with 2 of those because I think 2 of those would be the same cost as Lamarte's +10. So it's possible, or at least very similar to the cost. So I think I still got a few keys to work out. But this list right here, if you run this, I promise you it's good and it's going to serve you quite well. So let's finish up on the Rage Cursed Onslaught with one statement here. I do believe that the Rage Cursed Onslaught, what they do really, really well is they create the greatest damaging combinations in the entire game. but they don't play the rest of the game quite as well as what Liberator Assault Group or Angelic Inheritors do. So while I do think it's a little bit less good, it's still real good, and that should not dissuade you from experimenting with it and trying to do really well. Because trust me, there's some pretty awesome stuff. Now, the last army I'm going to go over today, and then I'm going to let you guys go, is the Hammer of Averni. And I believe it's entirely possible you guys will get to watch me run Hammer tomorrow, because I'm going to be doing a live stream with Mr. Ridvin from Scarredcast, Scary himself. He's one of my favorite people. And so we're going to be doing a live stream match on TTS for you guys. I believe that's tomorrow night. I'm just going to, I'll shoot him in a text and we'll confirm. And I'll post a video on that, or a preview pretty soon for that. So hopefully you guys will get to see this in action. It's possible I show up with something else just based off of what we decide would be the best for you guys for y'all's viewing pleasure. But I think Hammer of Averni is one of the best attachments in the entire game right now. I think it's incredibly powerful. So let me run you through this. We have Canik Var, and he is going to be leading 10 Assault Terminators. That 10-man Terminator Assault Squad is going to be about 7 Thunder Hammers, and it's going to be 3 Lightning Claws. The Lightning Claws went up to 6 attacks each, and the Thunder Hammers are now hitting on 3s since the most recent data balance status late. In addition to Canik Var, I'm also going to have this unit led by an Ancient and Terminator armor with this Steel Font Enhancement. What the Steel Font Enhancement does is it allows me to resurrect one of my models every single turn. Resurrecting a 4-wound Thunderhammer model every single turn with 2 OC, because the Terminator Ancient gives us +1 OC, is a very big deal. One of the other really dope things about this unit is that Terminator Ancient gives them +1 to hit when I'm under starting strength and +1 to wound when I'm under half starting strength. Now, under starting strength is really nice because suddenly all of my Thunderhammers are hitting on 2s with the unit. That's good. That's real freaking good. Not to mention, in Hammer of Averni, when you attack your Oath of Moment target, you natively get the +1 to wound off of it, and you get reroll wound rolls of 1 against your Oath of Moment target. And Canik Var gives you access to a scout move, access to a redeploy, so you've got so many shenanigans you can do with this 10-man unit. You can put them on the board, have your opponent deploy to counter them, and then put them back in reserves. Like, there's just so many things you can do. Canik Var, in addition to all of that, gives you a second Oath of Moment target, because the first time in a battle round that you kill your Oath of Moment target, Canik Var gets to pick one unit he can see, and that becomes your new Oath of Moment target, which is very relevant for the rest of the list. So now, in addition to that, we're going to have 1 Lieutenant Combi Weapon because he's awesome. I'm going to take 2 Tech Marines. I know people shy away from Tech Marines, but I freaking love Tech Marines. I am going to have my 5-man unit of Desolation Marines here. 5-man unit of Desolation Marines in this detachment is incredible because they natively get to reroll wound rolls of 1, and they're natively +1 to wound, which means they're going to be standing still all game, just obliterating my opponent's trash, obliterating them, getting reroll wound rolls of 1 with +1 to wound on that. Just really means that they're killing all guardsmen in the entire game. Guardsmen don't exist. Elves don't exist. Drukhari elves don't exist. Even a lot of tougher stuff becomes much more easy to obliterate with this unit with the +1 to wound and the reroll wound rolls of 1. And since I've got Canik Var, I don't really need Oath of Moment because I get 2 of them. So I can put them on a trash unit for the Desolation Marines to kill, and then I can use it to put on something relevant afterwards. We got one 3-man Inceptor squad with Plasma because it's good. We got 1 5-man Incursor squad because I freaking love it. And it's going to go hand in hand with what I'm about to show you. I've got 1 Scout squad. After the Terminators, I have triple Redemptor Dreadnought. Now, the Redemptor Dreadnoughts love 2 Tech Marines following them around to heal them and give them +1 to hit. The Incursor squad also shoots a target, gives the Redemptor Dreadnoughts +1 to hit. These Redemptors become really big issues because what are you going to do? Are you going to kill the Redemptors that are -1 to wound and heal, or -1 damage and heal? Or are you going to try to kill this big 10-man squad of Assault Terminators, 10-man Terminator Assault squad, that when your opponent charges them, they're -1 damage due to the strats of this detachment? Oh, yeah, and they resurrect models. So this is an abusive stat check, which is a big problem for your opponents. Not to mention, in this detachment, I have a stratagem that can give me +1 to hit and +1 to wound for my Dreadnoughts. So you see these Redemptors become absolutely filthy. They don't need Oath of Moment because I can give them +1 to hit and +1 to wound anyway. Lastly, I've got the Calidus Assassin, and one more, I've got the Storm Speeder Hailstrike. Now, people laugh at the Storm Speeder Hailstrike. They think it's a terrible idea. But if you've ever experienced Desolation Marines who have AP when they shoot you, you've experienced pain and suffering, and I feel for you. Because Desolation Marines already ignore cover. So when I give their normal weapons AP1, and I can give the Vanguard goes up to AP2, it's a problem. The unit generally kills like 2 Victrix on our guard with indirect if I have the Hail Strike that shoots them. Basically, with the Hail Strike with the Dezos squad means that my opponent does not have trash. Trash does not exist, and even more relevant stuff has to fear me. So I like the detachment a lot. I love this army. I'm having a blast running it, and this is really where I want to put some of my Marine focus for a little while, is into the Hammer of Averni detachment. So guys, with that, just want to give you an update on some of the lists that I am looking at, for right now. Hopefully some of this inspires you guys. Like I said, none of these lists are 100% done yet, but I wanted to keep you guys up to date with where my brain is, because I like to think outside of the box, and I like to play armies the way that I believe other people tend to miss. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your friends. Crump on. Bye-bye.